Hi everybody, good morning. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is planning for the future and beyond. So I know some of you all here already, and we're going to take you through a journey of how you process what your plans should be going forward. So we're going to talk about the proactive and reactive perspectives of life, of how to see the future. We're going to talk about how do I know when it's time to move? For those of you are all of you living, who's living in their home today? Right? Awesome, right. And that's what we all choose to do, right? I mean, like where else are you going to live? Under the bridge, right? Yeah. And what are my living options? If I choose to leave my home, or maybe it's not the right place for me to be, where do I go? What does that look like? How much does it cost? What does care look like if I brought care in? Right? We're going to talk about all these things. So our goal today is not to tell you what to do. Our goal today is to share you options that you have so you can self-discover the best decision for you. Our goal is that you leave here with some idea of a plan that's going to serve you better than not having a plan, right? Can we all agree that having a plan is better than not having a plan? Yeah, okay. So good, we got on the same page. So, and then what do I do with my home, right? If I leave my home, what do I do? And there's a lot of options. You have choices, right? And how do I pass on a legacy today? How many of you own investment properties? Does anybody own an investment property? One, two? Okay, just two people? Okay. Then when should I start planning? Okay, so that's how we're going to take you through. So there's two perspectives of life, and there's really only two in anything that you can think about. My job is to keep things simple. So the simplest way to look at it is you can have two perspectives. You can have a proactive perspective or a reactive perspective. Now, doing this for 18 years, I know the difference between the two. And I can tell you without a doubt that the proactive person is going to live a healthier, less stressful life and a happier life. The reactive person is going to wake up one day in a reaction to something that showed up in their life, and then stress immediately happens. And we also put stress on, frankly, the people we love the most. See, the people we love the most are the people that are going to be impacted by your reaction to life the most. And I can tell you that there's no way people come to, I've been doing this for 18 years now. I've done over 1,000, 1,200 seminars. I've seen tens of thousands of older adults. Thank you. I've seen tens of thousands of older adults going through this process, people my age and older. You know, this year I turned 60. So I get the plan. I get that. Here's a question I ask everybody, my age and older. How many good summers do you think you have left? How many good summers do you think you have left? And it's a very internal question because we need to start asking ourselves these questions. One guy says to me, oh, don't worry, when I can't walk, I'm going to be in a wheelchair. I said, is that a good summer? Or is that just a summer? And my point to you is think about the good summers. And what do you want to do with your life? And what matters most to you, not to anybody else in your world, but what matters to you. Because guess what? You're the one that gets to make that decision. Nobody should be making that decision for you. You should be making that decision. And my goal is to help move people from the reactive to the proactive, because the reactive looks like this. A guy calls me one day and he says, Dan, he came to one of our seminars right here. He came to one of our seminars and he said to me, I need your help. I said, okay, well, what's your name? He gave me his name. So, okay, so what kind of help do you need? He said, I need you to come to the hospital. I go, what hospital? He said, and he gave me the hospital, and I go, okay, so help me understand what's going on. He says, well, I broke my hip. I fell down in my house. I frankly almost died. He fell down in his home in St. Louis Heights. He had 13 steps to get to from where his car is parked up high in the hill. He had 13 steps from there to get into his house. Well, he was a retired pastor. Retired pastors don't have an income, right? So all he had was his home, right? And so he collected a lot of things. Now, I know none of you collect a lot of things. I'm just joking. That's normal if you do, so don't feel bad if you collect a lot of things. You know why? Because the longer you live on this planet, the more time you have to collect a lot of things, right? You come in contact with him. But anyways, this guy, right, he calls me and he says, and it was really sad to hear him. He says, I need you to come to the hospital because I need to sell my home. I'm not going to be able to go to my home anymore. I said, what happened? He said, I broke my hip and I'll never be able to do those stairs again. And that hurt inside because, what you're going to hear today is you're going to hear a lot of information. I'm not going to force you to do anything. I'm going to give you a choice, right? But what hurts inside is I felt like if I nudged him a little more, maybe he would have paid attention. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to nudge you more. I'm going to let you decide. But what was really sad was we had to go to his house. He says, I need to find my trust document because it was in a trust, thank goodness. And I need to get on my bills. We go to his house. He had 52 credit cards. What he did was he used one credit card to pay off another credit card to pay another credit to pay his property taxes, to pay his electricity bill, because he had no income. And all of his wealth is sitting under his feet. He had $1 million sitting under his feet. But he didn't realize that his home really could be transferred into money, that could have a better lifestyle, that could be a safer environment, right? A healthier environment, a happier environment, and that he would never have to worry about never going to his house again. We've had 3 clients that were the reactive ones. They never saw their house after that moment. Imagine not being able to go to your home and what that would feel like. Internally, that hurts inside. And the only reason for me to share this story with you is because it's reality. It's the life I've lived, the lens that I've seen the world from. And there's a good side of it, and there's a not so good side of it. And my only suggestion is, I really hope and pray that you pick the good side of it, where you have a plan, so that you're ready before something bad shows up. Imagine a husband and wife, married couple, living together, been married for a long time. One of them passes away. That means the spouse has to take care of all of their passing husband or wife's stuff. Imagine having to move by yourself. Imagine having to find friends by yourself. That's a reactive person. And again, another lady that came to this call, sat in your seat, called me up one day crying. And she said, I need to sell my house. And I said, what happened? She said, my husband passed away. He was picking a papaya off the tree and he slipped and fell and hit his head. Accidents can happen. It's like this light bulb. I can't tell you when it's going to go out, but I can tell you the longer it is, there's greater the chance. And accidents happen. It's so easy when we get older because if we don't hydrate well enough, you lose your balance, right? You can be in your own home. And if you just don't have enough hydration and water, you slip and fall and you hit your head and nobody's around. There's an Office of Public Guardian. Do you know what the Office of Public Guardian is? The Office of Public Guardian is a state office you pay tax to that takes care of people who cannot take care of themselves. So let's imagine you saw your neighbor across the street. Let's call her Mrs. Wong, for the lack of a word. Mrs. Wong, you've known her every day. She'd come out, she'd sweep her leaves. She has a car, she still drives. She goes out to Times every once in a while, but she doesn't leave very much. But you see her every day. She comes out, she picks up her newspaper, right? One day you wake up and you notice the leaves are there and she didn't pick up her newspaper. You think maybe she's not feeling good today. The next day comes and you see the same thing and you get worried. So you go across the street, you knock on her door and say, Mrs. Wong, are you okay? Well, you find out that you hear the TV on, you see her car home, but you don't hear a sound in the house. So you call the police. The police are going to come and do the same thing you did until the point where they're going to break her door down to get to her. Almost all the time she's on the ground, and unfortunately some of the time she's expired. What happens then, let's just say she's alive. They take her from the ambulance to the hospital. The hospital is going to try to revive her because the hospital doesn't want you to be there long. So they're going to try to revive you, and they want to put you into a rehab center. Right? Well, what has to happen is you need a guardian to be released from the hospital. So if you don't have a guardian, if you don't have any family or anybody on island that can speak and be your guardian, then they're going to call the state, the Office of Public Guardian. A state guardian will be your guardian to take care of your health and medical affairs. Okay, they're in charge of health and medical affairs. Then they're going to go to the court, and the judge is going to assign a conservator to handle legal and financial affairs. By that time, she's proven to the state of Hawaii that she can no longer take care of herself. So the state steps in to help them. This is the reactive person. You can choose to move when you want, or it could be where somebody's going to choose where and when your next move will be. Right? And so things to consider as you're thinking, do I really want to put a plan together or not? Because you get to choose. It's your choice. Is it a good time to move? Well, if your home's too large, now that the kids are gone, probably. Like we've gone to many homes where it's 3 or 4 or 5 bedroom home, and it's just one person or one person and a spouse. And it's just a lot of home to take care of, to worry about. Is your home or yard too much to maintain? Maybe the mango tree's gotten a little big, and maybe the gutters are getting filled. Maybe the maintenance in the house, window screens, appliances, things start failing over time. And many of our clients are on a fixed income or retired, right? And so there's a lot of deferred maintenance that shows up. They kind of just defer. Right? Are you tired of cooking and cleaning? Anybody tired of cooking and cleaning? My wife would be the first one to raise her hand. Yeah, she doesn't cook that much anymore. That's right. Because at some point in life, wouldn't it be nice if you had the financial ability to do so? Wouldn't you want that kind of life? Well, you can do that in a space like this, in a retirement community setting. And you're going to experience the food today, which is knock your socks off. I mean, I'd be here in a heartbeat, right? And does your home have too many steps? Right? And one very vibrant, I thought was young, she was 78 years old, and she was about this tall, Mrs. Asata. I'll never forget her. She's the sweetest lady ever. And every day I'd walk up to her house. She had 28 steps to get to her house. And every day when I left, I'd walk down, and she'd follow me. I said, you don't have to come down. She said, no, she'd follow me. And because I met with her a lot. And then one day I just had the courage to ask her, I said, help me understand. You seem very healthy and able-bodied. What's causing you to want to move? And she said, Dan, here's what I look healthy, but here's what you don't understand. My neighbor 3 doors down, 2 months ago, she fell and broke her hip. And she will never see her home again. And she said, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that person that's reactive. I'm going to make this move while I can, while my husband's healthy, while we can both think for ourselves, make decisions for ourselves. And I said, you go, girl. She was an amazing woman, right? And she lived an extremely long life, an extremely happy life in those situations. And then, are you living alone and concerned about security? If you don't have Nextdoor, don't get it. It's an app, which is really bad, because if you look at it every day, it scares the daylights out of you, and it shows you all the crime that happens today. It's everywhere, nowhere is perfect. I live in Kahala. It's everywhere, everywhere. And what if you're by yourself and that happens? Our financial planner, his client was the one in the news that lived in Mililani, that a big guy came in and almost killed her. Didn't kill her though, dragged her outside, but she almost lost her life. That was a life-changing moment because she lived by herself, right? She's not living by herself anymore. And would you like to make your own moves when you can, make your decisions when you can? Or do you want somebody else to do that for you? And that's the reactive person, because at some point in your life, you're not going to be making decisions for yourself. Please understand this. This is reality. Somebody else at some point in your life, your family or somebody is not going to let you live where you're going to live. Case in point, my parents. My parents, bless their heart, I lost both of my parents this year and last year. My mom, I lost her in September, and my dad in February. But before that, we saw that my mom kept falling down in her house, right? And the ambulance would come, and my sister said, man, the ambulance are coming almost every week now. It's like, this is not good. And my mom didn't want to move. I said, Mom, you can't keep doing this. So finally we convinced her to move to a retirement community, right? And my dad was so happy. I mean, he didn't have to worry because he was the caregiver, right? He was like, and they still went to Vegas every 4 weeks, right? They live, that's like second home for them. And my mom started to like it because the food was good and she didn't have to worry about stuff. And as they got older, she got ill. She passed on. And then my dad, for 5 months, went to Vegas every 3 weeks. He was trying to fill the void. And it's hard. It's really hard. They were married 72 years. 72 years. My dad played tennis till he was 90, 3 times a week. This guy was an Iron Man. But at the end, he had his affairs in order. He sold everything he wanted to sell. When he passed away, the last week of both my parents, they were in hospice 7 days. That's it. From the time they got sick to the time they passed away, it was exactly 7 days. And he got to do everything he wanted to. He got to say goodbye to everybody. He got to give money to people that he wanted to because he had everything liquidated, right? He had all of his affairs in order. And I tell my friends, this is how I want to end. I want to end when I want to end. And I want to do it with the people around me that I love. And I want to bless them with what I could bless them with, right? And he left a legacy. My dad left a legacy. And that's my hope and prayer for you, that you can come to understand that it is possible to do it, but you got to have a plan. Okay. So what are your options? Number one is you can age in place at home or with loved ones. You could do that. Family taking care of family, you could do that. It's sometimes problematic when family takes care of family. Right? And does anybody have a caregiver here? No caregivers? Yeah. You're a caregiver? Right. Today, currently? Thelma, you are, right? Yeah. Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
I just couldn't handle.
That's my point. And then it negatively affects the relationship, right?
And then the amount of money that I'm giving to private care
Right.
was running out.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough, right? Downsizing to a smaller house or condo, we have people that have the financial ability. See, many people, they don't realize that the average home today in Hawaii is $1 million. $1 million. That's crazy. When some of our clients bought it for $25,000. So you know that you're sitting on your retirement. You're sitting on your long-term care plan. But most people never get to that plan because they never liquidate. And that's the sad part of the story. Realize that the property you have, and do we have CMAs in here? Do we have CMAs? You know, in your packet, we have, if you own a property, we pulled the tax records of your home that shows you what the city Department of Property Tax Division says about your property. And then we give you a rough high-level view of what's going on in the market. Take a look at that. Because most of you probably don't have debt on your properties. If you do, you have very little. And think of all of that being able to take care of care for the best part of your life, this last portion of your life. Right? You can go to an adult residential care home. Right? These are single-family homes and residential communities all over the island. You have two types. The adult residential care home is a licensed agency controlled by the Department of Health. Then you have foster care homes, which are non-regulated, a little cheaper. Right? If I could choose between the two, I'd go to the regulated one. Just saying. But people make decisions based on financial ability. And then retirement communities. If you're able-bodied, it's the best place to go. Because it'll keep you able-bodied. and it'll keep you happy, and it'll keep you stress-free, right? And you still can travel, and you can still do the things. We have clients that were still working that went to retirement communities, right? You can do these things, right? So what are the levels of care? 3 main levels. One is independent living, which it looks like most of you would qualify for independent living. Able-bodied, able to go down and do everything you want on your own. Right? The next is assisted living. Assisted living meaning you need some level of assistance with activities of daily living. How many of you have long-term care insurance? Anybody? Wow, amazing. That's awesome. So know that there's a couple of tips for your long-term care insurance. Number one, if you were in a hospital, who would you call? Who is the first person you call? Okay. And who's the second person you call? Right. The first and second person you're going to call, you want to make sure that they know who to call. Meaning your Medicare provider, the phone number, your account number, right? Because you want to start that process as soon as possible. See, if you need any of the 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, grooming, toiling, continence, mobility, any 2 of those services, your long-term care insurance will reimburse you up to the amount of the limit of your contract. So your contract has 2 numbers to it. One is the total maximum draw that they'll reimburse you for. Then they'll have a monthly maximum that you can pay out. See, if you understand this is going to help you in the case of bad times showing up. When reaction shows up, financially, it's not going to be a stress burden, right? And from my experience, what I've seen is around $4,000 to $5,000 reimbursement every month from your long-term care insurance. Because many of you have long-term care insurance that upon your demise, it goes away. Some of you might have long-term care insurance, which is a hybrid. I own one. I bought it when I was 50. That in the event that I get into an accident or anything and I need help, it'll kick in. If I don't use it, it goes to life insurance, right? And so these are the things you want to keep in mind, because you know what the biggest stresses of a lot of people's life is? Not only transitioning, it's finances, right? And so having a good handle on finances, having the confidence to know that there won't be a problem will help you. Okay, now memory care is going to cover all of these services. And memory care is going to be the biggest challenge we have in the next generation. You know, there's not enough memory beds in the state of Hawaii or around the country. And there's a growing massive population of baby boomers and their parents getting older. And like, where's my glasses? It starts there, right? Where's my keys? Where's my glasses? Right? And then what was I going to say? Right? Not that any of you do that, right? And then, okay, where do I live? Yeah, it happens. It happens. We had a couple, a financial planner calls us that says, my client wants to move into a retirement community. They actually paid for a continuing care retirement. They put a lot of money in. They pulled out the money for the financial planner, went to one of these CCRCs, put a large lump sum in, never moved in. A few months later, he goes, Dan, I need your help. Can you go talk to our client? Because we paid for the entry fee. We're paying the monthly fee. They just never moved in. And so I went over there, and I only spoke to the husband. Husband was a Japanese man, very frail, had a walker, sharp mind though. He was like sharp mind. And then I only talked to him, and I asked him, I said, so help me understand, do you want to go there? And he goes, yeah, I want to go there. I said, what's in your way? And he goes to me, Dan, I bought this house when I was married in 1952. This is Pearl City. 1952. I've never moved in my life. I don't know how to move. And I said to him, okay, so if I can wiggle my nose and make you move from here to there with everything you wanted, would you want to do that? He goes, when can I go? He was so excited because it was a problem for him. And so we helped him move. But in the conversation, I saw the wife come out. And now I thought the house is a little unusual. I go to the house and I look at I walk in the door and like there's 6 locks. I go, this doesn't look good. And then I walk past the stove and all the knobs are pulled off. I go, okay, there's probably a memory challenge here. So the wife comes out and she's this big lady, very unusual couple, right? They never had kids. Big lady. It's like, oh, she could hurt me kind of thing. And she looked kind of mad. And I didn't want to really say anything because I didn't want to get her mad. And he goes, yeah, the reason why he tells me the true story. He said, the reason why we're moving is, at first she would almost burn the house down. So we took the knobs off. And then we had to have food come in. But the kicker of it all, he said to me, is he lived on Komomai Drive. You know how busy Komomai Drive is, right? His wife was standing on the double solid lines in front of her house, lost, and she forgot where she lived. Yeah, she had memory challenges. And he said, I can't keep her in, and it's not safe to lock the house out. If the house burns down, I'll never get out because I'm not mobile, right? And these are the things that I see every day. Every day. And if you know a family member that's living on their own, please talk to them and say, please, there are other options for you. You can get care. So if you're aging in place at home, you can have family coming in. You can have care companies coming in. So there's 2 types of care companies, home care and home health care. Can come into your home and provide you care. So if you have the financial ability to do so, yeah, why not, right? The downside with that is it limits socialization, right? And socialization is crucial for memory challenges, right? Gerontologists tell us that cerebral stimulation is vital to memory strength. Cerebral stimulation means you're in communication with other human beings. A TV is not communication. Many people sit at home and watch TV and there's 10,000 different channels, but that's not helping this. Decision making, right? Game playing, sharpening your mind, that's what's going to keep you mentally, physically stronger, right? So, and then adult daycare services where you take somebody out of their home, take them into a care home, like Pololo Chinese Home, for example. Malalia, there's care homes for the day for care. And then they get dropped off at 8, they get picked up at 5, they have their meals, they have their nap, everything is taken care of there. It's better than staying home, right? But it's more cerebral stimulation that way. They play games, they keep you mentally active, healthy, safe, and you don't have to worry about that person living alone at home, right? So what does that look like? Well, the home care model is a private company that comes in. It's really companion level services, right? It's, things that would help you with your activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, grooming, toilet, incontinence, mobility. Right? And they can take your blood pressure, take your temperature. They can make sure your medicine is taken. They can prepare your food and clean. So cooking and cleaning is your biggest solution for somebody living at home, is cooking and cleaning. And then maybe driving you to the doctor, maybe taking you to Longs to get your prescription medicine, things like that, right? But then when you need additional care, meaning you have an intrusion in your body, like a tracheotomy, wound care, like an IV, or if you get wound care, home care companies will not provide that service. Anytime there's existence of blood, for example, you're gonna go to home health care, which is a nurse, basically. You're gonna have to hire a nurse to come into your house. And that cost goes up. Know that we were just talking, James and I were talking earlier about Medicare. Now know that Medicare is not a long-term care solution. It is not, it's got a limit to its ability to provide service to you. Limit's 100 days per year. You gotta get a note from the doctor that says that you need it. And your long-term care can be provided for that, for a short period of time, right? Which is 100 days per incident, right? So what does it cost? $24 to $35 an hour, $30 an hour for home care. But look at home health care. $35 to $75 and up per hour. If you need 24-hour care, you're looking at up to $20,000 a month, right? And I can do the math for you to tell you how long that's going to last. Sometimes people have enough money to do it. Sometimes they do. If that's what you choose to, then do what you want to do, right? Do what you think is best for you. But I can tell you, living at home is probably not the best for the mental case of yourself. Now, if somebody's near hospice, you're going to stay home. Right? That's a different level. Right? So going into retirement communities. Now, retirement communities are people that choose their proactive approach. They know that they want to live a healthier, happier, longer life with less stress. And they don't want to be a burden to their kids. Yeah, this is the person that says, I don't want to be a burden to anybody. Right? I'm going to live here so that somebody can take care of me. Right? So you get all your meals, security, all your maintenance, everything is paid for. It's, you pay one number, kind of does it all. I mean, the only thing you pay for is telephone if you need one, but most people just use cell phone. All your activities and the fitness, this is what keeps you healthy, right? Keeps you active, keeps you mentally strong. The cerebral stimulation exists in an environment like this. It does not live in an environment at your home by yourself, right? Isolation is the largest challenge for folks. And it takes you, it ages you quicker. Staying active, physically active. Like I'm 60, I surf every day. I tell myself, I'm going to surf every day until I can. That's one of my goals in life, by the way. I'm going to surf every day until I can. And I'm hoping I got 20 more years left. I'm hoping to surf till I'm 80. After 80, I think I'll be okay. So how do you pay for it? Well, you can liquidate assets. So if you've got stocks, bonds, or other assets, you could liquidate that and pay for care. The downside with that is, if there's capital gain, you're going to pay up to 30% of everything you pull out, you're going to pay to the government. That's called long-term care, long-term capital gains tax. Right? You're going to pay that on any other asset that you have. If you sell your property, though, a single person gets $250,000 tax-free dollars. Husband and wife, $500,000 tax-free. There's no other asset that you own today that you could sell, take money out, and not pay tax on it. Real estate's your last one, but you gotta live in it, right? And that's the home that you live in. And that's frankly why people sell their home as they're thinking of moving out, right? Or you can pull equity out of your property. That's another way. Get a home equity line of credit, right? I've always had one. Since I was 30 years old, I've always had a home equity line of credit, right? Why? It's a checkbook. If I wanna buy something, I can buy something that I buy investments. So I'm an investor, so that's my checkbook for investments, right? But for older adults, that could be a checkbook for your long-term care needs, right? Okay, so there is a way to do that. And then for those of you who have investment properties, there's a lot of investment strategies we can talk about. Now, so what should I do with my home? You have a lot of options. You can rent it. If you're thinking of renting it, we have a property management firm that can give you a number, tell you what it can rent for, right? And we can see if it makes sense, right? We can see. If you have a significant gain on your property, right? Let's say you had $1 million gain on your property, right? And you have a husband and wife. I don't think this is in the slide deck. We don't have the capital gains tax thing in here, huh? No, I don't think so. So let's say you have $1 million of gain, like, a large gain, but you only get $500,000 tax-free. What you could do is you can move out of your home for 2 years. We could rent it for you. We could sell it, and we could eliminate all your capital gains tax. As long as the difference of the gain, you buy an investment property that you don't live in that generates you money. So there's 2 strategies we use, and if you have a lot of gain, I'm not going to go into detail, but if you have a lot of gain, you're going to want to talk to us, because what we do is we eliminate capital gains tax for people. Because capital gain tax is the #1 enemy to generational wealth. It's the #1 enemy. There is no other enemy to generational wealth than capital gains taxes, because it could be up to 30 to 35%, right? And so see us if you have that. You can put that in the note. You can pass it on to a family member. Here's my suggestion. If you pass it on to a family member, don't change the title, change the trust. And in a trust document, you can tell them upon your demise that it goes to this child. But let's just say you put your son on the title today, and you bought it for $25,000, and you want to sell it for $1.5 million. And he's on title, and you put him on title while you're alive. He's now absorbed your cost basis of $25,000. So you just now made him responsible for all the capital gain tax. When he sells your home, he's going to be responsible for all that gain. Yeah, that's a bad idea if you like your kids. Okay. If you want to keep money in your family, that's a bad idea. Okay. Or he's going to be forced to do a 1031 exchange, which means he can't live in it, then he'll have to sell it, and he's got to buy, you force him to buy another piece of real estate. But what if he doesn't want to? What if he wants to spend the money and buy something to live in? He can't do that. So you've created a problem if you do that. So again, these are things that over the last 18 years, I've seen a lot of failure in people and failure in building wealth. You know, in this community called Keller Williams Real Estate Planner, we teach people how to build, protect, and transfer wealth through real estate. And in Hawaii, if you own a home in Hawaii, it's likely going to be $1 million or more. That's wealth to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's wealth, right? And so how do you build it, protect it, and transfer it so that the people that mean the most to you get what you want them to get, right? Did you know that 70% of all families are going to fight over real estate? 70%. Do you know why that happens? Well, let me tell you. The smart folks, how many of you have a trust? How many have a trust? Okay, you have a trust, smart guys, right? And you put it in a trust. What does a trust say? Well, number one, you put it in a trust to protect it from probate, right? Because if you don't have it in a trust, it's going to probate. If it goes to probate, that's tens of thousands of dollars after you're dead, tens of thousands of dollars, months to years of stress for your loved ones, and then a high amount of cost to do so, right? And then they get the asset. So that's why you put it in the trust. So you put it in the trust, and 99.9% of the trust will tell you, and I want you to go home and read this because this is important. Go home and read your trust document. Upon your demise, your kids split the asset, right? How many of you have a trust and have more than one child? You have more than one child? Yeah. See, anytime you have more than one child, you have a problem. If you have one child, no problem. There's no division. So if you made more than one, that's your fault. Nah, just joking. I made 3, so I need a plan. And so I have a plan, right? Because here's what it says. Upon your demise, you share that. How do you share real estate? You can't share real estate. You have to sell it. But what if they don't agree? So let me ask you, how many of you have children? You guys have children? Okay. So are all of your kids alike? No. Do they think alike? Do they act alike? Are they in the same economic phase of life? No. So what you're doing is you're putting them in business with the most amount of wealth that they've ever seen all of a sudden after you're dead. And they don't agree. How's that going to work out for you? And my last question is, when you're gone, do you want your kids to love each other? If the answer is yes, I suggest you put a plan together so that they don't fight. You have a choice. You can be the 70% or the 30%. Our clients are the 30%. So you get to choose what part of the formula you want to be part of. 70% of failure or 30% with success. Because at the end of the day, you get to choose how you're passing on wealth. The reason why that 70% exists is because of the distribution of assets. And you know what the asset is? Real estate. Because you can divide stocks and bonds and liquid assets. You can't divide real estate. And this is what we teach around the country. I got 400 agents all over the country in North America. And we teach this to help people create a plan to keep money in their family, the wealth in your family, and not giving it to the government. I like the government, but hey, it's your money, right? So most people end up selling their property, right? Or leave it vacant. Not a good idea. Don't leave a vacant property. Number one, you can't get insurance on a vacant property. So if it burns down, you have now land value. Yeah, know that. If it's vacant, with the number of homeless around here, it won't be vacant very long. There'll be people living there that you don't want there. Yeah. Or you're going to board it up. And then your neighbors aren't going to be real happy. Right? So, yeah, not a good idea. Why would you leave $1 million asset and not use that money? It doesn't make sense. Right? So don't leave it vacant. Oh, do what you want, but I wouldn't. Okay. So what can I do with my rental properties for those of you who have them? If you don't have one, think about somebody who does. Right? So your one choice is do nothing. It is a choice. You can do nothing. Or keep it vacant. I don't know what good vacant properties do for you. It doesn't do anything. I call that a negative asset. A negative asset is something that costs you money that doesn't give you money. You pay property tax. If you have association or condo fees, you have that, right? You still got to have utilities, right? You're going to pay all these fees and no income, right? Allow a loved one to live there. Many people do that, right? If you have the financial ability to let somebody live there, what's wrong with that, right? Yeah, you can do that. You could rent it. And if you're thinking of renting it, let us know, because we can put a number for you to tell you what it's going to rent for based on its current condition. You can use it as a second home, right? Some people live in Mililani. We had a client living in Mililani. They had a place in town. They just lived in it during the week, moved back to Mililani on weekends. You can do that. Yeah. 1031 exchange is selling an investment property and buying another investment property and deferring all your capital gains tax, no capital gains tax, but you generate more money. So if I ask you, do you need the money to sustain the life you desire? And if you say yes, we can go and measure the asset. We can tell you if this asset is performing at its peak performance in today's market. We do it through a formula and a proprietary system called an asset performance test. So if you want one, let us know. We can do it for you. We measure that asset based on the income and expenses you provide to us. We'll run it through our calculator. We'll give you an analysis to tell you its rate of return. And then we'll show you opportunities of, if at the same value of your property, if you sold this and bought this, what this could generate. 9 out of 10 times, we make people a lot of money because we can improve the performance of the asset. Because most of your assets are underperforming today. 9 out of 10 people that come to us, we make them more money. Right? So that's one. The second is helping family out. You could actually sell a property, and let's say you had 2 children. You sell $1 million property, you buy 2 properties of $500,000 each. You keep it in your name, but your kids could live there. Your grandkids could live there. Right? This is what we're doing to create a legacy with your family. Right? Generational wealth. Because here's the problem with the young kids today. They might be great kids. They might have good jobs. They might have good income. They might have good credit. What do they not have? A down payment. Because they don't save money. These kids today, it's like liquid. It comes from one pocket to the other. It's like, woof. They don't save money because they live for today, right? But you could bless them today. If you tell me that you don't need the money to sustain the life you desire, we can create this legacy plan for you. We can let you bless your family, anybody you love today, before they have to fight when you're gone over real estate. Right? So these are plans that we're helping folks all over the country. We have dozens of clients here every month that we help you build wealth. So how do I protect my home or the rentals? Number one, keep it in your trust. We had a family that had it in a trust that took it out of the trust and transferred the name to their children under the instructions of an attorney for Medicaid. She calls me up after coming to one of our seminars. She said, I'm really excited. I want to sell my house. I want to move into this retirement community. And I looked at the tax record. I go, who are these 3 people? I don't see your name here. She said, oh, that's my son, my daughter-in-law, my son-in-law. I go, I got some bad news for you. You can't sell what you don't own. what happened? She goes, oh, that's right. I went downtown one time and I signed some papers. The attorney got her kids to transfer the title over to the kids while she's alive. And she wanted to go to retirement community. And that was the money that was going to be used to pay for that retirement community. The kids locked her in her own home. It was horrible. I left there in tears. It's like, how could you do that to your own parents? And the worst part about that story is the husband had dementia. And he had massive memory challenges. And the wife was battling with this. And she wanted a life that could, where she was going to Ihara and Honolulu where they had like memory care. So she had planned to have him have memory care. She could be independent, happy life, right? Didn't turn out that way. She ended up dying in her home and didn't get to live the life that she really deserved because her kids changed that for her. Right? You want to maintain your insurance. Whether you move out, whatever you do, make sure you have insurance. Remember, if it's vacant and the insurance company finds out, they're going to cancel your insurance. If something bad shows up and they find out, you're not going to get coverage. They're going to deny your claim, okay? Continue your maintenance, your yard service. Make sure you have a timer in your house. Secure the perimeter, right? Because there's a lot of homeless walking around, just randomly walking on people's properties. Install motion sensors and alarms, right? Because you want to have some kind of deterrent. And just check your smoke detectors regularly. Because you talk to any fireman. By the way, did you know the fire department will go to if you call them and said you need a smoke alarm, they'll come and install one. They'll come and install one. Yeah, they will. Why? It's only $20 and they know that could save a life. They're in this business, they get it, right? So are you looking for a complete solution? What does that look like? Well, initially when you're moving, it's downsizing and decluttering, right? And you know, we had a business that did that for 14 years. We actually partnered with the National Association of Senior Move Managers. Anybody seen the show Hoarders? Hoarders? HGTV, yeah. So the host on that's Matt Paxton. He's a friend of mine. So we're now partners, and we're doing this all over the country now with this community to help people downsize and declutter. Yeah, yeah. It's a really cool opportunity.
It's really not funny. It's tragic.
It's sad. It's sad. Well, a little side story. There's an Institute for Chronic Disorder. Sounds wild, right? Institute for Chronic Disorder. There's 5 levels of hoarders. You all have at least 1 or 2. If I look around enough, you might have 3 or 4 in this room. Those are the guys not looking up, right? No. We've been in homes where you need a hazmat suit to go into the house. Rats are living everywhere. There's no toilet. There's no water running. Yeah, it can get really bad. And stuff all the way to the ceiling. We got there, we cleared it out, and there was this brown line that went all the way to the top of all the boxes. That's where the rats were running. So if you go look at your house, you go home, and you look outside your house, and you see brown stains, that's where rats are. Because that's what comes off their body. It's the oil off their body. You know, they don't shower much, so it just comes off. Right? No, I'm serious. I've seen so many wild things in my life. Right? Remove the unwanted items. Now, when you rent or sell your home, you're gonna have to remove all the personal belongings. Under the house, in the attic, in the storage shed, in your closets, in your cabinets, everything. Right? And then you might need repairs or improvements or renovations. We do that too. So we provide construction management consulting. We have a general contractor that we partner with for all of our clients that we can help you improve its value. We do kitchens, bath, paint, flooring, roof, gutters, everything, right? Decks. So it depends on how much financial resources you have or ability or desire to do things, we can help. Cleaning and then staging, right? Getting it ready and guiding you through the sale of the process and then advocating for you. So some tips to downsize and declutter, real simple. We use an acronym called SORT. Sell, offer, retain, and toss. And everything in your home fits in one of those 4 piles. And some of you might say, you haven't seen my house. There might be more than that. No, there's only 4. There's only 4. There might be big piles, but there's only 4. Okay. The problem with the selling thing is it's hard to sell stuff. So I wouldn't go into this journey thinking you're going to sell anything. I'm just trying to protect you, your emotions. We have a client now that's moving from Kapiolani Ridge, and they've got really nice, like each piece was what, $15,000, right? 20 years ago, and when she loved it, I said, I don't know anybody else is going to like this. And we can't find anybody else that likes that. And so you got to have to come to grips with that, right? The things that can be sold, like koa can be sold, right? That's a priceless thing. But China, don't expect selling China, okay? Because the only people that want China, they already have China, okay? The other people, they buy the China from the luau plate China, you know, the Costco version with the 52 in one bag. Yeah, that's what today's world uses as China, right? So things like that. So the question to yourself is 3 questions. Do I love it, right? Do I love it? When will I use it again? And then will it fit in my new home? Where is it going to go? That's your simple self-discovery questions. Write this down, put it in your kitchen, and as you're clearing out and downsizing your home, ask yourself these questions. And if it's not, it's going to help you process, because you got to process. This change, you can't get to the future, ladies and gentlemen, without change. Can we agree to that? You can't get to the future without change. So we have to embrace change. And so what we do is we know how to embrace change. We teach you how to embrace change because we've done this hundreds of times, right? And before you sell it, understand that you could have tax consequences. So if you own your home, as I mentioned, and you lived in it 2 out of the last 5 years, the government's going to give you $250,000 tax-free dollars, or husband and wife, $500,000 tax-free dollars. Okay. If you're selling an investment property, look at the capital gains tax. At the state of Hawaii, it's 7.25%. Federal is 20%. If your adjusted gross income that tax year is greater than $400,000, you add another 3.8% on top of that. It's significant. Just use a round thumb of 30%. A third of everything you own is going to go to the government, right? If you don't do a 1031 exchange. And that's what we're experts in. We've been doing this. I've been teaching 1031 exchange classes for 17 years. We've done more 1031 exchanges than anybody in our market, in the residential world. And we've got gazillions of different strategies to use to help you, whether you want to make more money or bless your family, one of the two. We also help people who want to invest off of this island. We have contacts all over the country. So we have clients that are 1031 exchanging into a property on the mainland where their kids or grandkids live. So one day they want to bless them. So it doesn't have to stay contained to this island. It can be anywhere in the United States. Okay. So how can I pass on a legacy today? It's really simple. Number one, if you have an investment property, that's the easiest way to do it. Sell the investment property, do a 1031 exchange by purchasing a replacement property for somebody you love. So that's a common thing we're finding, is that families are starting to really create a legacy, which is super cool to see, because they're changing lives today versus letting things react in the future. And the loved one receives the property or use of it upon the passing of you. So there's no capital gains tax. There's a thing called a step up in cost basis. So if you bought the property and you change the trust that says upon your demise, it goes to your child, right? Or your grandchild, when you pass away, they get a step up in value, which means the value of transfer goes to the value of date of death. So they don't have to pay the capital gains tax. You don't have to pay the capital gain tax, gets removed from your life. And this is how we do it, because there's 2 ways to avoid paying capital gains taxes. You may want to write this down. Number 1, don't pay it. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. The view from inside the bars of federal prison are probably not real pretty, okay? Right. Or the second one, I guarantee you're all going to do, is you're going to die. That's how you eliminate capital gains tax. So you plan on the inevitable. Like, we know we're all gonna not be here one day, right? So that's when it gets transferred. They call it swap until you drop. I didn't make it up. Don't hold that against me. But this is how you eliminate capital gains tax. This is how you keep your finances wealth that you've built over the generations in your family for the people that matter most. Here's a simple example. This is a real life story. Mom was a widow. She got an apartment building from her parents when they died. Now, it's just been an investment property. Nobody has any emotional attachment to it. It's just, it generated money and it gave her some money. But now she's seeing her nieces and nephews fight over the real estate after her sister died. And now her nieces and nephews don't talk to each other. You know when that happens? It's a generational thing. It'll go down for generations to come. You talk to enough families, you're gonna find some that have a generational divide because of this that go 3 to 4 generations. And you get to prevent that. And one way to do that is if she sold the $1 million property, let's say a round number, and she says, I want to do a 1031 exchange whereby I buy 4 properties, $250,000 each. So each child gets to predetermine their inheritance. The reason why that's so valuable is these kids don't live in the same place anymore. The apartment building was Mo'iliili. Nobody wants to live in Mo'iliili. Nobody wants to live in an old apartment building. What do they want? They want the money to buy something they want, wherever they want. So one buys one in Georgia, all cash, right? Because they're cheap there, right? One buys a condo here, and 2 buy houses here, but they use it as a down payment. So they co-own it with mom. When mom passes away, they get it tax-free. This is how we create generational wealth that has really positively kept families together. And that's our goal. She buys the 4. When she passes away, it goes straight to the kids tax-free. No tax. We've just eliminated capital gain tax from your life. Okay. And we'd like to do that for you. So when should you start planning? Well, the best time planning is always present now. Yeah. Either that or you're gonna leave here and you're gonna be reactive at some point. Right? So as Ryan was mentioning, before we go there, this brochure is in your packet. And we have a special offer for you that if you come here to the Ivy and you use us to sell your home, you're gonna get a $1,000 moving credit from us. It comes as a credit at closing that'll pay for your closing cost, for your moving expenses. $1,000, we're willing to do that. Because the Ivy has become a partner for us that we've trusted. We have many clients here that are extremely happy. And since they became the Ivy, the elevated service is extremely high. Right? And so today you're gonna experience that lunch today. When's lunch, by the way? So your ticket for lunch is your feedback sheet. So once you fill out your feedback sheet, you can get the lunch. I'm good at holding you hostage, right? We just ask you to fill that out. Now, if you have a situation or a question or you want to speak to us privately, just let us know. We have appointments. Ryan and Justice has some times available. If you know what your calendar is, you can block them out. I travel every month. I'm gone 12 to 18 days a month because I teach this around the country. So there's a limited amount of space available and times available. So if you want to grab one of those, you can. And if you do, and if you become one of our clients, that $500 fee is waived. You don't pay that. And if you book an appointment today, then I think there's some gifts. These hydro flasks, really cool. Keeps it hot and cold. I'm drinking tea today, but anyways, any questions as we're wrapping up?